Christi Olson. Thank you for joining me about marketing in 2022. What you need to know about data, privacy, and marketing in the cookieless world. A lot of the findings and insights that I'm going to share today come from a research study I worked on earlier this year and published called In Brands We Trust, the 2020 Consumer Privacy Study, which talked to 24,000 consumers across 16 countries to get a really in-depth understanding of what consumers understand and they perceive with regards to data and privacy. To access the full report, because I don't have time to go through it in depth today, go to aka.ms in Brands We Trust. Now let's dive in. Why is the industry changing? And what's behind this focus that we're hearing now on privacy? Well, first off, one of the reasons we are seeing this happening is that privacy matters to everyone. In our research, when we reached out to individuals and asked, is privacy a right or is a privilege? 87% of respondents agreed that privacy is a fundamental right. That shift also coincides with the fact, according to IAB, there's $19 billion spent today by brands and publishers on audience data and activation in the United States alone. These regulations and consumers are both demanding changes to how brands collect and use data in order to engage with audiences. Now, when we look at the scope of those changes, you can actually see it by looking at the privacy regulations happening across the globe. Most of us have heard of GDPR, and because earlier this year, California had launched their California Consumer Protection Act, also known as CCPA, you've probably also heard about that. But brands are having to figure out how to scale to privacy at large because of the wide variety of policies in place across countries in the globe. And with that, what we have found, and one of the takeaways that we had from our research, is that brands that provide clarity and choice can build trust in the area of privacy and data collection. Why that's important is because 91% of the consumers we discussed were concerned about the amount of data that companies can collect about them. And when we think about the type of data that companies collect, there's also this misunderstanding about not only privacy, but cookies and how cookies are used to collect data. The expectation on average that consumers have is that they go to a website and that website gets access to the data and information through the cookie. But in all reality, the consumer is standing there going, what is happening? Because they access a website and that data can be shared across publishers, brands, and third parties unbeknownst to them. That is part of the reason why we're seeing the shift happening today with the use of third-party cookies. And it's not just happening at the website level, it's happening at the browser level as well. Browsers and devices alike are restricting third-party cookie tracking and tracking in general, which will disrupt how brands do everything from targeting to personalization to tracking optimization. We can look at this in two different ways, one of which is understanding the accessibility, meaning the profiling and targeting of audiences that happens across advertising today, as well as the accountability, the measurement of everything you do on the digital marketing side. So stop and think about that. If you're missing the addressability and accountability, you're going to be left with a huge gap in your overall marketing plan. So let's focus on what is known today. First off, what is known is that you are going to have to develop a brand level and a company level data strategy. Data is going to continue to be the renewable resource of the future. It's the holy grail of digital marketing. But remember, how that data is sourced is being disrupted. So in addition to developing that strategy, you want to think about what you're doing with the data you have today. A huge portion of our report went into the value exchange. What one party gives up, the other party receives. And one of the biggest gaps we found in this survey is that only 15% of consumers felt like they were getting good value from sharing their personal data. 15%. That is absolutely crazy. So as we think about what's going to happen, there's changes happening in the advertising industry. There's going to be a greater emphasis on first-party data. There's an importance of logged-in activity so that you can collect your own first-party data, which is part of your data strategy. There's going to become a new reliance on context and behavioral data and artificial intelligence that can look over your entire data sets to build a better understanding of user behavior and your customers. Finally, you're going to see publishers and brands working more closely together to utilize all the data that's accessed and to be able to use them within the advertising context. Additionally, there's going to be new ways to track that privacy journey. So what can you do? Mostly it's having your data strategy and thinking about where can you go and where can you advertise that has a strong first-party data industry-leading technology to help keep you up with the privacy landscape and make sure that you can still hit the addressability and the accountability side of your marketing today. Now, we think about first-party data that's usable for marketing. There are very few publishers out there today that have access to this. I work at Microsoft, and our network is actually one of the few networks that have a huge breadth of data that's accessible. Millions of people sign into Microsoft services on a regular basis, so we can reach about 500 million people across our audience and publishing network just from access to that data alone, which means in my new role as the head of search, I'm going to be able to come back and put together very strong first-party audience data. But it's going to become even more important for you as we look forward to thinking about your consumer experience, having a privacy journey so that as you collect data and information, you can utilize it to the best of your ability through that data strategy, and making sure that you can find partners with a strong first-party data source so that as you go to collect more audience and insights, you have the ability to fully leverage them to meet your marketing expectations. Thank you.